What's up, Vital MTBers? To say this last week has been busy is an understatement. There have been so many new mountain bikes launched that every single wheel size is represented. In this video, we're going to walk you through the highlights of a bunch of these new bikes. But first, let's flash back to 1999 and this steel Balfa Nouveau Riche that was just added to the VitalMTB.com bike check section by Vital member Julian555. Here's what he says about it. This was one of the craziest DH bikes of the 90s, a real unicorn. The first generation Balfa Nouveau Riche, or NR, was a high pivot suspension design with 9 inches of rear travel. This particular bike was Francois Soussy's bike when he won the 2000 Masters World Championships. This is bike 1 out of 15 of the chromoly Nouveau Riche. Balfa also made 10 aluminum versions of the NR. Everything was adjustable on this bike. Check out the Mr. Dirt fork, the Nokian Gazzotti tires, that huge Tioga downhill saddle, and the Magura Gustav brakes. They all weighed in at 49 pounds altogether. Heck yes, high pivots and crazy suspension from 22 years ago. All right, back to the new bikes as we kick it off with Canyon and their Spectral CF8 collective build. This dedicated mixed wheel size trail bike features 150 mils of rear travel and 160 up front with 5 size options. There's a 460 millimeter reach on our medium test bike shown here with an adjustable 64-degree head angle in the low setting. Squish is handled by a Fox DHX Performance Elite coil shock and Fox 36 Performance Elite fork. There's a combo Shimano XT SLX drivetrain with DT Swiss EX511 wheels and Maxxis Assegai DHR2 tire setup. Our medium CF8 collective test bike comes in at 33.5 pounds or 15.19 kilos. It's going to set you back $4,899 US. Our first rides on the bike have proven that it's extremely fun and playful. If you want dual 27.5 or dual 29-inch wheel Canyon Spectrals, those options are available too, in alloy or carbon, with prices ranging from $28.99 up to $74.99 US. Stay tuned to Vital for our long-term review, and we may send ours to Troy Brosnan once we're done. To hit the 26-inch wheel size, we'll stick with Canyon. They updated their stitched hardtail dirt jumper, and the Stitched 360 is available in the USA with a Manitou Circus Sport fork, Maxxis DTH tires, Raceface AFEC cranks, and E13 stem for $13.49. The Stitched 360 Pro hardtail and the full suspension Stitched 720 are available in markets outside of the US. Canyon.com is where you can learn about these bikes or even purchase them directly. 27.5 ain't dead, and Giant is out to prove that with their 2022 Giant Trance X mountain bike line. Featuring 3 models that range from $2,850 up to $4,500 US, like the Trance X1 that we have here, riders will get 145 millimeters of rear travel paired with 160 millimeter travel forks. The Trance X's uses Giant's Alux aluminum frame, but they feature a composite rocker to activate that Maestro suspension. The trail bikes feature adjustable geometry with a slack 63.8 degree head angle in the low setting and a 472 millimeter reach in low on our size large. The large Trance X1 that we have for testing tipped the scales at 33.5 pounds or 15.19 kilos, just like that Spectral we talked about earlier. Our first ride reports indicate that the fun factor is super high and the bike climbs very efficiently. Those big 27.5 by 2.6 inch tires can make the bike feel a bit sluggish in some conditions, so riders may want to trim down the width and volume depending on riding style and conditions. Giant is reporting early 2022 availability on the new Trance X mountain bikes. All right, let's make the wheels big and slap on a motor with 2 updated e-bikes that launched this week. Trek unveiled their updated Rail 9.9 and 9.8 carbon eMTB builds that feature Bosch Smart System drive units with 750 watt-hour batteries and Line CX motor. Trek's ABP suspension platform is present. There's a custom RockShox Super Deluxe shock with through shaft, and geometry is adjusted via MinoLink as always with Treks. On the 9.9 and 9.8 models, reach has been stretched out an average of 19 mils across the 4 available sizes, and our medium test bike has a 451 millimeter reach in the low setting. Travel remains 150 mils out back and 160 up front, but a beefier Zeb shows up compared to the Lyric on the last Rail 9.9 that we had. Our 9.9 XX1 Access test bike certainly made our hearts skip a beat with the $13,500 price tag. But it does push up on those 37 pieces of flare requirement with the unique to Trek RockShox AirWiz technology that constantly monitors shock and fork pressures. Grab the SRAM Access app, pair that with the Quark Tire Wiz and the SRAM Access drivetrain, and this may be the most E of any e-bike. The alloy versions of the Trek Rail do start at $55.99, but their frames and geometry remain the same as last year. Hit up our site for a deeper dive and stay tuned because we're going to rally this Bosch-equipped Electro Wonder on all the local legal e-bike trails and moto trails to see if it's all worth it. On the same day that Trek Rail came out, Rocky Mountain announced their updated Instinct and Altitude Powerplay e-mountain bikes. These continue to use Rocky's Dynami drive system, but we're at version 4.0 now. They still put out a whopping 108 Newton meters of torque, but the updated one has dropped the motor weight by 18.5%, all while adding bigger, more durable motor bearings. Battery size bumps up to 720 watt-hours with an optional 314 watt-hour overtime pack. The Altitude Powerplay runs the Enduro numbers with 160 mils of rear travel and 170 up front, and an average 64-degree head angle, while the Instinct Powerplay takes on trail duties with 140 mils of travel out back, 150 up front, and a 64.7-degree head angle. Both bikes feature Rocky's Ride 4 geometry adjust system and adjustable chainstay lengths, so you can go bonkers with any number of configurations. There are 5 models of both the Instinct and Altitude Powerplay. Some are carbon, some are alloy. Prices start in the mid-$5,000s US and peak at $12,039 for the Instinct Powerplay Carbon 90. All right, keep the 29ers, drop the motor, and check out Mondraker's new Raze and updated Foxy bikes. The Raze has 130 mils of trail-ripping rear travel with an updated Zero suspension platform, paired with those all-too-gorgeous Mondraker frame lines. 4 sizes of the Raze are available, with the highest-end RRSL build coming in at a claimed 26.89 pounds or 12.2 kilos. If you need more burly in your life, Mondraker's updated Foxy goes even more enduro with new geometry, suspension kinematics, and the optional integrated telemetry system they call Mind. You can learn more about these beauties on our site. We're not leaving out any wheel size today thanks to Specialized. They just launched their updated from the ground up Riprock 20 and 24 kids mountain bikes this week. Just in time for the holiday season, Specialized has made these Riprock bikes available straight from their website, specialized.com, as well as through their local dealer network. These lightweight Grom machines feature legitimate mountain bike drivetrains. The Microshift Advent 9-speed drivetrain has wide-range cassette with a 42-tooth low gear, the derailleur has a clutch, and the 30-tooth chainring is narrow-wide design that keeps the chain on. The alloy frame and rigid forks stay clean and modern with through-axle boost dropouts, and there's internal cable routing. At this lower price point, the suspension forks found on the old Riprocks were extremely heavy and had little performance benefit, so we couldn't be happier with their choice to go light and rigid. C-Star Radius hydraulic disc brakes use a tool-free lever adjuster, so even the tiniest hands have the ability to squeeze themselves to a stop. 20 or 24-inch 2.35 ground control sport tires have plenty of knobs, and it should be noted that they are not tubeless ready. The Riprock 20 is $650 US, and the Riprock 24 is $700 US, the same price as the Riprocks last year. If you have a budding Matt Hunter in your life, you can go really big with the Riprock 24 Expert that has a 100 mil travel Manitou suspension fork, SRAM NX 11-speed drivetrain, and a bunch of other big bike features for $1,500. No matter what you ride or where you ride, get on out there, and we'll see you on the trails.